This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to Investment Perspectives, everybody. I just want to put this up and start with this as a reminder of an awareness for everyone. The S-1 filing document for an IPO. This is something we want to keep our head on a swivel about. And remember the words that Brad Garlinghouse said at Davos. They intend to IPO at some point, I'm paraphrasing, over the next 12 months, but they didn't expect to be first. But they didn't expect to be last. They expect to be leading in that area. So keep an eye out for that, which also means we want to keep an eye out for the potential of someone else to be IPOing in the crypto space very soon. So keep an eye on that. Could be Goldman Sachs and what they're doing with Circle. Who knows what's going on? Well, it's exciting. I couldn't even think to guess. So let's keep an eye on what's going on there. Now, just know that that's what the document looks like, whether it's Ripple or anybody else. All right, so let's keep this moving. What I want to talk about today is the global markets and the infrastructure. Now, the other day, I covered the NASDAQ partnership with R3 about the market infrastructure that's taking place throughout all of these traditional trading markets. Now, this is important because today I want to get back to oil. Okay, and talk about oil. And the reason I want to talk about oil, and we're going to send this thing home at the end, so don't leave. This is going to be good. You know, I believe what we are seeing in a fragmented way, what's starting to surface and what's starting to come clear is this market infrastructure. And so much in the crypto space, we have been focused on, let's say, regulation or the fact that we haven't had price action in 3 years, 2.5 or what have you. So, I want to broaden the conversation a little bit. And I think I've got some things that can help us see potentially a little more clearly the entire space and what may be really going on. Okay, so as we know that market hit an all-time low for oil back in April, and the oil went negative for the first time in history, right? We saw oil fall below, and I believe it was $37 negative, if not touched $40 negative. And that was back in April, around April 20th or so. And right now, the current price of oil has come back up to $33 in the WTI crude and $35 in the Brent crude. Now, just for quick information there, WTI is the West Texas Intermediate crude oil. It points to a complex and a region where the oil comes out of. Brent crude oil, it comes from the Brent field in the UK North Sea region. Now, just so you understand, these are really have become ways of grading the oil based on the low or high sulfur content. And just so you understand, this grading that you see when they say it's WTI grade or WTI pricing or Brent pricing, it's really referring to that, how it is graded. And that, even though that points to West Texas complex and in that area region, and then the Brent UK region, that grading can be placed to any kind of oil from anywhere based on its content. So getting that out of the way, just a little background on that for all of us. We're between $33 and $35 a barrel. Okay, why am I talking about oil? We cover crypto. Why am I talking about oil? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because it's a global traded asset. It is for energy consumption, as we all know. But it just went negative. Well, it didn't go negative because of crypto, Brad. You're right. It went negative because of the fact that the whole world shut down its production globally from a deliberate shutdown because of an economic collapse, and it was blamed on a pandemic. The reality here is, because of that, certain oil producers continued to produce oil even though the production had fell off due to a deliberate shutdown. Because of that, oil quickly moved from being an asset to a liability because the production had fell off and the storage went through the roof, and it got to a point where no one had any place to store the oil that was being produced, turning it from an asset to a liability. Well, how does crypto fix this, Brad? Stay with me. So, as we look at what happened to oil, just so we understand where the current price is. Well, Brad, it was $37 negative. It's now $33 a barrel. I think we're in good shape now. Do you? Think again. Because the reality is the largest producers of oil on Earth right now are still underwater. It talks here about shale companies, who are the recent wave of oil producers out in the industry. It says here, the majors generally need $50 plus Brent, which is what we talked about, Brent oil to cover their dividends. Sovereign states that rely on oil revenue can't balance their budgets at $50 a barrel of oil. Banks won't be willing to lend to the industry, and private equity buyers aren't going to step in. The reality here is simply this. Chevron and Exxon and these large producers of oil are upside down still to this day. To this day, this very day, they are still upside down. Now, there was another comment here I wanted to show. Chevron cut its annual capital budget by 20% to $16 billion from $20 billion. The company said on Friday, and this was just several weeks ago, this article here, that it would cut its capex guidance by another $2 billion to $14 billion. ExxonMobil, which has been spending to grow, reduced its annual budget to $23 from $33 billion. Both have reduced operation costs. They're suffering. They are getting crushed. On the U.S. side, $40 Brent in 2020, we estimate ExxonMobil would be generating negative $2 billion of free cash flow before its $15 billion dividend obligation. The company recently issued $18 billion of debt, which covered this shortfall, but one could definitely question how long it makes sense to do so. The largest oil producers in the world are still underwater. You may think, because it's come up from negative, that everybody's winning again, but the reality is they aren't. Now, why am I talking about oil? Because oil is traded throughout the world. It is an entire market infrastructure and a network of how oil is moved, bought and sold, and traded throughout the world. Knowing that we just recently covered the market infrastructure for a NASDAQ, and knowing that this article told us about how they're touching 120 plus other technology companies and trading centers that are tied into NASDAQ, about this infrastructure and integration with R3 and Symbiont. We also see the rumblings of things like this. A framework for decentralized stablecoin, monetary policy, and fiscal policy governance. Now, I want to thank Mickey B for this. He put this out just some time ago. And this is an amazing article, and I'm not going to read it all to you so you can take a breath of sigh of relief. But I am going to show you just the very beginning of this so you get an idea about stable coins and getting a reimagined focus about how they are so pertinent to the space. Good governance of stablecoins is one of the most defining features of a healthy ecosystem, political, economical, or social. In the long run, as ecosystem participants come and go, they must abide by the set of rules and ideals perpetuated through the governance structure. In the blockchain world, decentralized governance is a vital yet tricky to get right. Proper incentive structure must be in place. With the ability to change in a measured manner, to achieve this, many blockchain systems choose to start out more centralized, but move toward decentralization over time. This piece addresses some unique monetary policy and fiscal policy governance challenges specified to decentralized price-stable cryptocurrencies and puts forth some ideas for how these core components of stablecoin ecosystem can become automated, removing the need for human input. And let me give you this next part here, and we'll wrap and move to the next piece. There is a saying, cash is king, which really means whomever controls the cash is king. In order to determine whether a stablecoin ecosystem is decentralized, look at who controls the money or the collateral. Get with me now. You must look at who controls the money or the collateral. I just gave you an excellent example of how the markets were being handled and manipulated during a deliberate shutdown of the global economy, and how that commodity was being manipulated and overproduced to continue to break the back of other companies. Now, that is because oil producers are really centralized in the manner in which they produce the oil and can determine how much they decide to produce. Trade wars, basically. Pricing wars, right? Trying to break the backs of competitors. Looking at what we're talking about now here, this article about stable coins and a system that could be developed with stable coins, digital money. Understanding that a network that could be developed as a stablecoin ecosystem that would be decentralized would mean you have to look at who controls the money or the collateral. Interestingly enough, let me keep reading for a second here. And whether this responsibility has been put on a path to becoming more decentralized through governance, monetary and fiscal policy are arguably the most powerful levers of a stablecoin ecosystem, balancing the stabilizing force of collateralization and the growth impetus of fiscal spending. Control over monetary and fiscal decisions is likely to be more centralized at inception as ownership of the governance process is more concentrated. Centralized power at an early stage can be justified by the need of having fault-proof ownership in order to speed development, carry out expeditious system upgrades, and allow time for knowledge transmission of critical monetary fiscal matters. The nature of vesting of a transition should reflect the intent of the protocol to automate or open these decisions to a broader network. The transition toward decentralization could be gradual, as the founding entity likely has specialized knowledge about managing a decentralized ecosystem that must be conferred upon new vested participants. In short, where would you find a decentralized network that could work? Well, let's see. How about this guy? This is back in October 8th of 2019, last year, right before we attended Swell. Listen to the first 21 seconds here. This entire thing is worth watching, let me tell you.
Hi, this is David Schwartz, also known as Joel Katz, CTO at Ripple. I recently released a list of suggestions for XRP Ledger development, and I got a lot of questions about the stablecoin proposal, so I thought it might be helpful for me to walk through what I have in the design to give people a better idea of how I intended the system to work.
Boom. This was the first time we really heard about XRP having the ability to launch stablecoins off its decentralized network. Because just like this article here, it points out in the very beginning, who controls the money? Look at who controls the money or the collateral. If we look at his proposal and the idea of what you could do, you could issue a stable coin off of XRP. He even says you could issue the stable coin off other assets like oil or gold and things of that nature. Really? What is the XRP Ledger? The XRP Ledger is a decentralized cryptographic ledger powered by a network of peer-to-peer servers. The XRP Ledger is the home of XRP, a digital asset designed to bridge many different currencies in use worldwide. You know what else it's designed to do? It's designed to do all the money. And that means all the things of value, assets included. In other words, if you look here, you could have a liquidity pool just like that article we talked about of who controls the money and who controls the collateral. Well, if everyone, and let's just use oil as an example as we have here today, were to place their assets of oil onto the ledger, it is now on a decentralized ledger with a stable coin issuance of it. Because this isn't just about currency. This is also about oil. This is also about gold. This is also about silver. And more importantly, the supply chains and the supply lines throughout the world globally. I offer to you on this day, I believe we will get more regulations in this space, but regulations is not what we need. What we need is a decentralized exchange for the world, including oil. That decentralized exchange is the XRP Ledger. And I believe it has been hidden for a long time, but I also believe what we're seeing in reflection of what is happening with NASDAQ. And also, by the way, the moves that BACT is making right now. That's right. The crypto platform that is owned by the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange just recently expanded their insurance coverage. Now, why do you suppose they did that? You think they did that because they think the market's going to be down for more? Or do you think they did that because they know it's about to explode? What I'll tell you is that when I see a traditional legacy firm or company like Intercontinental Exchange working and owning the New York Stock Exchange and building a platform in the crypto space, and then seeing NASDAQ partnering with R3, what I see is development of market infrastructure because they know this space is going to be enormous. And it's going to be enormous in two ways. It's going to be enormous for crypto in its own right, and it's going to be enormous for the market infrastructure of the traditional industries of this world. I believe one of the next facelifts that has a potential to take place is in oil. That's why I put up this picture about this document right here, and I believe that's what it means to say all the money. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Hit the like and subscribe. Don't forget, today I will not be doing a 12 p.m. live show. It is a holiday. I want to celebrate all the service members out there in the world. Thank you for your service. And we are going to take a family day. And this is the video I'm putting out here today. If you like the content, hit the like and subscribe. And I will catch all of you on the next one. Take care.